Hi, it's Mike from Protos Expert, back at BVE in London, and now on the Aspen Media stand with Chris Collings, and we're going to take a look at some of the audio over IP products that you've got. And of course, we'll start here with the two units that I reviewed last week, the two DELEC units. So just for anybody who's not seen the reviews, just give us a brief overview of these two units.
These two units come out of DELEC's long-standing history with Dante, and they do very compact intercom systems to which you can add a Dante interface. And they've used that development to generate a range of interfaces that do straight Dante to analog to AES interfaces, and then these monitoring and recording interfaces that give you Dante output. And the idea is that you can connect these to your network wherever you need the work to be done, and the audio is connected to the recorders or the workstations wherever they may be installed. And it gives much greater flexibility to use of area, flypack systems, flyaways, and avoids huge overheads in running extra equipment and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about audio over IP is we don't have to put great expensive multi-core cables through buildings that perhaps were never designed for that. No. Whereas you've got Cat5, Cat6 cable running around, we can now pipe audio here and there with reasonable ease.
Yes, and it gives a much greater use of traditional office buildings which have structured cabling installed by default, and you can put a small studio, an edit facility into place in no time flat, and it's a great force for reducing costs and getting more efficient operations for broadcasters, productions and things like that.
So the two interfaces we've got on the top here, what are the typical applications for these two?
Well, I think the two primary issues, because the NIO 0204 has super high quality 32-bit mic preamps, is commentary, voiceovers, continuity, for sports events, major musical events and things like that, because it's portable. It's a desktop unit. You can drop it with a pair of headphones and a microphone, and you can use it for whatever is necessary, or even ingesting material into a workstation. It's easy to control, it's simple, and it's a bit of a no-brainer.
And what about the little baby DIO?
The little DIO came from a project that DELEC did in Sydney, putting the announcements and voice alarm system into the Sydney Metro. And each station has a position for the announcement to be made locally, and they needed a very simple box for doing that job. So that has a mic input, headphone output, is controlled via a web browser, and is a very simple industrial in many ways, and people now use those installed under a desk or in a piece of furniture with just a simple pair of sockets on the outside. And the beauty of it is that the operator need have no understanding of what's going on, because the engineering and technical staff can set it up and configure it remotely across the network, which is there because it's got a Dante interface.
And we've got some, what I would appear to look very much like TalkBack. We've got these two rack mount units and this control unit here. So Dante equipped as well?
Oh, indeed. Dante and DELEC go back a very long way, and it gives, again, great flexibility about the layout and configuration of an intercom system. Their very small intercom unit here, for example, has 8 standard AES3 connected panels, but to which they've added 64 channels of Dante. And when you add a Dante interface into the panels, you can connect them wherever you like, and you can control them remotely, and your only connection is the network, and that then unwraps to give you the AES connection into the panel, and it carries all the control commands and the text for the keys and that sort of thing. And again, you can put those anywhere you like, that the network connects back to the main unit.
Because we're talking about AES3, so we've got 2 channels of audio down the one XLR cable, the one twin pair, or even on, presumably on it presents on an Ethernet as well.
It's a bi-directional connection. So You have to have both so that the commands from the panel are received back at the intercom unit, and then the data for the keys is transmitted in the opposite direction. And so long as your AES connection is transparent for all the user bits, it gets through most routers and in this case, the Dante connection.
Great, okay. Well, we're going to move over to another bit of Dante equipped, which is also MADI. So look, we'll move by the magic of television to another location. And so here we are in another part of the Aspen Media stand, and we're come here to look at a unit here that's got MADI to Dante, except of course you quite rightly point out it's not Dante, it's
Ravenna.
And tell me a bit about Ravenna.
Ravenna is an audio transport protocol, very similar in the structure to Dante, except that it is an open protocol and therefore is not under the control of a commercial entity. And for many people that's very attractive because it suggests that many more manufacturers will adopt that protocol. And indeed, Dante adopt it and operate AES compatibility as well. And at the moment, the provision is for the audio transport only. There is a new AES standard, AES70, which has just been announced, which came out of an association, a control association, which will do the Ravenna port discovery and routing as the Dante does at the moment. It's running behind in terms of a development time, but it will come very quickly. So hopefully very shortly it'll be possible to connect Dante and Ravenna devices together and manage them with a very simple, easy to use interface, which has to be the aim for all these systems, because we have to remove the visibility of the network addressing and porting and subnets and things like that, because the user
yes, please.
because the user isn't interested, and
yeah.
nor should they be.
No.
And this device from Direct Out, who were one of the first signatories to the Ravenna protocol, that is a four-way MADI to Ravenna bridge that simply allows the transport of 256 channels across the network to a similarly equipped device at the other end. It's an interesting development. We're seeing a lot of interest on it because it is open.
Now, just explain to me the connection or lack of connection between Dante, Ravenna, and AES67.
That's a bit of a challenge. I'm not sure that we all have a clear picture of that. The Dante development is from Ordinate in Australia, and they have done a very strong job of promoting the protocol and the two applications that sit around it that make it a very simple to use and easy to understand protocol. But it is proprietary. And for some that's a concern. Large broadcast organizations are hesitant about signing up with one corporation because they don't know how that's going to proceed in the future. And therefore they look for open protocols, open standards, where any manufacturer can adopt that standard. And Ordinate, to their credit, have signed up to AES67, and so they will be part of that open standard, and their products will be interfaceable with anything that comes along on the AES67 standard. And that's really about as simple a way of describing it.
So as we stand now, can I plug a Dante piece of equipment into that Ravenna converter? And it works?
In theory.
Okay.
This is still early days. We haven't seen that happen yet, but that's because of time and the understanding to make that work. If we take on face value, and we've no reason to doubt it, that Dante is AES67 compatible, there's no reason why the two shouldn't be able to communicate and exchange audio data.
Great.
Time will tell.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I'm Mike from Pro Tools Expert at BVE in London.